Hey everyone, it's Kelly. Today's video is going to be my spooky books recommendation. But I'm not just sharing any spooky books, I'm sharing some underrated books that I think need way more love and attention during the fall time. I did have 10, but I decided to condense it. And so these are the 5 books that I'm going to be talking about. And it's a mix between YA, young adult, middle grade, and adult. So the first one that I'm going to be sharing with you, I got a couple years ago for a blog review, and it was a company that, or it was a website that used to send out free books for review, and they since shut down, and it was Blogging for Books. This is how I started my channel, on Blogging for Books, and the book is The Breathless by Tara Gojan, and I think this is the only book by this author about a girl's death that tore apart the family. And so it's ghost and paranormal, and it's set on a plantation in, I think, Louisiana or Alabama. It talks about the Gulf Coast. And this girl, Roxanne, she has died, and they think that her boyfriend killed her. Her ex-boyfriend, because she was with somebody else, and they cannot find him. He is on the run. And so her sister keeps hearing these voices in the house. Yeah, I read this one night. I don't recommend not reading it at night because it does have that spook factor, hence why it's on my spooky underrated recommendations. I've not seen this anywhere on BookTube, and it's spooky. Do not read this at night because it does have like sounds, like creepy house sounds, and if you're alone at night, no. And so yeah, and I love Southern Gothic tales, anything to do with plantations and trees that arch. It's my favorite thing. So yeah, I will read it to you. No one knows what really happened on the shores of the beach where Rose's body was found, but her boyfriend Cage took off that night and hasn't been seen since, until now, 1 year almost to the day from her death, when he knocks on the door of Bluegate Manor and asks where she is. Cage has no memory of the last 12 months. According to him, Rose was alive only the day before. May wouldn't believe him, but something's not right. Nothing's been right in the house since Rose died. I highly recommend. 5 out of 5. And I want more from this author. I think that, I'm not sure, I haven't looked up anything about this author since I read this, so hopefully this is not her only book. This one is a middle grade, and my middle child got it in her Allen Crate Junior box, and that is Night Books by J.A. White. It's about this boy. He lives in this apartment, and one night he's going down to the basement of his apartment building, and the elevator opens up on a floor, and he's like walking down the hallway, and he hears the sounds of his favorite movie coming from this apartment. So he knocks on the door, and this woman opens the door and invites him in, and turns out he gets trapped. And the only way to get free is to write this woman spooky stories that she wants. And it's got a cat, and this cover is everything. It's a keyhole, and it shows a library. It's just great. And all his stories that he writes are included. Hello! Books, and some of them are and some are downright scary, and he's not the only one trapped in this apartment. So yes, my kids loved it. We will be reading more by J.A. White, and yeah.
Hello. You didn't tell me you were filming.
Do I have to tell you everything I do?
Yes, I don't walk in on you while you're doing that.
Even if I would have told him I was filming, he would have still barged in anyways. But yes. And I want a sequel. This is the perfect standalone. Pretty much all of these books I'm showing you today are standalones. But I think the next one I'm going to show you is like a companion. Or it's a standalone, but it's written by the same author. And it's kind of in the same realm. No, I think it's a standalone. All of these books are standalones. I'll go by my original statement. But it's been blurred by Saman Chinani, who wrote School for Good and Evil, that I read back in August. Really loved it. It's written, blurred by Claire Legrand, who I have not read nothing by. And, yeah. It's a creepy, thrilling reinvention of Hansel and Gretel. Did not read that. So, yeah, it's kind of like Hansel and Gretel. Except without the breadcrumbs. Next one. Makes me... Every time I watch a YouTube video and this person mentions that they have read every single Christina Lauren book and they start listing them and then they leave this one off, I get so upset because this is the first Christina Lauren book that I've read. And it's their horror one. I think it's the only scary one that they've written. And it is The House. I absolutely love this book. It's about these two kids, Delilah and Gavin. I had to remember the girl's name. Delilah. It's my favorite name. Delilah. Delilah and Gavin. Delilah moves back to this town after her parents moved her away. And then Gavin is the outsider in this town because he lives in a creepy house. No, Gavin lives in this decrepit, old, haunted house deemed by the residents of this town. And so Delilah and Gavin start being a couple. The only person who has a problem with it, or not person per se, but the only thing that has a problem with this relationship is the house that he lives in. The house is its own entity. It cooks, it orders food, it pays the bills, it makes sure he's warm or he's cold. It keeps him locked up to keep from seeing Delilah. It tries to push Delilah out of the house. Like, hello door, nice to meet you. Oh, you don't like this person? Too bad, you're gonna have to deal with her. And then the door smacks me in the face. Kind of like that. It's a very quick read. And the chapters are a dual perspective. Him and her. And, yeah. I wish Christina Lauren would write more horror. But yeah, this is my first book from them. And it's not really romantic. It's more creep and spooky than anything. And it's highly underrated. I don't see anybody talking about this when they talk about Christina Lauren. Especially during this time of the year. Spooky season. Nobody's talking about this. I won this on a Goodreads giveaway. And it came out in October 2015. This is an ARC. So I need to buy a finished copy. So yes. Please read this. It's a very quick read. I read it in 2 days. Another middle grade that I absolutely love. It's not spooky, but it's got spooky elements like curse and voodoo and yeah. So it is The Monster Hypothesis by Romilly Bernard. I read this and I laughed the whole entire time. I wasn't spooked by it. It's about this girl named, what's her name? Kick Winter. I couldn't remember her name because her grandma's name is Georgia or Alabama. No, not Alabama. Caroline something. And so she goes to live with her grandma in this swamp because her parents are off saving the world. And so her grandma lives in this stilted house over a swamp, and there's an alligator that lives underneath. The alligator's cool. He loves his raw chicken. Anyways, her grandma is like a psychic, tarot, voodoo. I say voodoo lightly. She's a psychic. She likes to read people's palms. And there's this town curse, like in 100 years, the kids are going to turn into monsters and wreak havoc. And so Kick shows up, and it's the 100 years. And so she becomes friends, or she tries to figure out why kids are like hearing things. And she's a scientist. She blows holes into her grandma's kitchen floor. Okay? And her grandma's a crack. Yeah. It was like, give me a sign! And, kick the door! So she screams, and then Kick's supposed to do all these things to help her. She's a crack. Welcome to Boring, home to 453 people, 2,053 alligators, and one monster curse. Kick is living in the hollows with a Grandma Missouri. Her daughters are named after states, and yeah. The town fake psychic. Boring is anything but boring for Kick, who has already blown a hole through the kitchen floor, befriended a chicken-eating gator, and discovered that the town's 100-year curse is upon him. It's the boring curse, and all the kids are about to become monsters, so the legend goes. People are worried, except for Kick. She knows there's a scientific explanation for everything, especially curses and monsters. But Kick is the new kid in school, and she's determined to make a name for herself by pretending to be a psychic. According to her calculations, one teeny tiny lie plus fake psychic skills equals popularity. But when kids start disappearing and glowing creatures start showing up, Kick's theory quickly evaporates in a puff of foul-smelling swamp gas. So, yes, I think that if you have kids, your kids will freaking love this. Even you will love it. I got a kick out of it. No pun intended. But, yeah, it was great. I flew through it with my kids. I read it out loud. And every chapter has a Grandma Missouri prediction as the chapter title. And it's very, very funny. Grandma Missouri was my favorite character in the whole thing because she's fake and she's adorable. I love her. So yes, read this. Underrated. Have not seen it anywhere on BookTube. Except for me, possibly. The last underrated spooky book recommendation that I'm going to show you. I don't know if it's adult or young adult. I'll have to look it up and put it right here. But it is The Light, Houston, Texas by Joe M. Solomon. I think this is his second book. I think the first one is called Darkness, Baker, Texas. I got sent this for a review, and yeah, it is spooky as fuck. If you see a glowing angel up in the sky, don't look at it because it'll make you go crazy and start killing people. Kind of like the movie The Happening with Mark Wahlberg. I think he's in that one. I don't know. I'll put the picture right here. But yeah, this book reminded me so much of that movie where even the smell will like change you. But yeah, we follow this guy. His name is Robert. He's a graduate student, and he's in his apartment like blowing off his classes for today. And so he is sleeping, and he's getting all these phone calls, and he starts hearing screaming outside and running up and down the hallway of his building. And he wakes up and he answers his phone, and his mom's like, don't look outside, don't go outside, don't look in the sky. And then the phone's cut off, and he starts clicking and changing to the news where the news are saying there's an angel in the sky and don't look up at it because it'll kill you. Or it won't kill you, but it will seriously hurt you. And then the camera shoots up, and then the camera guy, he starts going freaking ballistic. And so this angel in the sky is controlling people. They're killing everybody, and then all of a sudden they just start piling each other up on top of each other. And the survivors, they have to be very quiet. It's kind of like a zombie, because if you make one teeny tiny sound, the people that are that have looked up in the sky will turn on you in an instant and attack you and try to kill you. And so these survivors, they have to jump into this car, and they are trying to go to this hermit's house that they know that will keep them safe, and who has a like a doomsday prepper. It was sent to me, I think, by the author or whoever publishes it. Oh, okay. Yeah. His first book is called The Darkness. Geiger, Texas, not Baker, Texas. The creep factor and strong in this one. If life weren't so hectic, I guarantee you I would have finished this in a day. 1 book, 2 reviews on The Darkness. Geiger, Texas. But yeah, picked this up. It's like a very mindfuck read, and yeah, have not heard anybody talk about this. This is more horror than spooky. If you want to believe that angels will kill you and try to take over your body and destroy Earth, then yes. So here are the 5 spooky, underrated books that I have for you today. Hope you will pick some of these up in the last week of October. I'm going to try to get this up before Halloween. Today is the 25th, so hopefully I'll have it up before then. Yes. If you pick any of these up, then let me know what you think of them. They are awesome to read without the spooky season also. I read these throughout the year before October. Not this year. The only one I read this year was The Monster Hypothesis. The other books I read in previous years. So, yeah. Highly recommend all 5. And, yeah. They are standalones. They are great as standalones. And I will be picking up more by these authors for sure. Night books and The Monster Hypothesis are great for kids. If your kids are looking for a spooky book for the next week or for this week, then I highly suggest these 2. And if you're looking for quick reads, I definitely suggest these 2 if you're into YA. And also this one if you are looking for like a adult spooky book. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in my next video.